down with me. Today I'm here with Mary Deacon, Munter, Louise Bradley, and Chris Cobb, who's the moderator of the Panelists today. So just to quickly start off, one of my first questions, as you know, I do run a podcast called YoungPRPros, and a really interesting question came up during the Q&A session about how PR is one of the 5th most stressful industries out there. But what can a young professional do for the audience of the podcast when they're coming into this industry? What can they do to prepare for, the stress and make sure that they...
Well, I think that what you're doing right now is a really good start, and that it's acknowledging that it is a very stressful environment. I think breaking it down a little bit further and trying to figure out why it is so stressful is going to be important. And then figuring out ways in which you can offer support. In order to deal with stress, it doesn't require that you work with a mental health professional all the time. Peer support has proven to be an extremely helpful and valuable tool. And I think it's learning ways in which you can reach out to, and even very important is to ask for help and to seek it out from your colleagues who are under the same stressors.
Okay, thanks. My next question is actually for you, Chris. Right at the beginning of the panel, you were talking about how when you were writing a story about Jesse Graham, you actually broke a little bit of the rules to tell the story. And one of the questions that popped in my head as a young professional is breaking rules for the greater good something good, or is it still just breaking rules? Like, well, where should young professionals stand on this?
I didn't know the rules existed, which is key, although I'm not sure I would have adhered to all of them. Some of them probably I would, certainly not all of them. To the point, I just didn't know they existed. And I guess when rules are broken, they're often broken out of ignorance. And I suppose somebody said to me after the panel, that tends to be how things change.
One of the things that I heard during this conversation, I heard it repeated often, is that even if there's more money in the industry, it doesn't necessarily mean success, and it doesn't mean that there's going to be change in mental health programs.
Well, we need to do both. So let's just be clear about that, and I think Louise spoke very well about the fact that compared to other Western countries, Canada underspends on mental health services from early intervention to the most specialized, and that in fact, from our perspective in terms of the child and youth mental health system, we can change the entire trajectory of someone's life if we intervene early and well to provide the support and treatment that is required. So there's no question we need our governments, we need philanthropy, we need all of us as citizens committed to greater investment in these services, and to help make that happen, but also more importantly to help create communities, whether that is workplace communities, school communities, or the broader community, that are safe, accepting, and welcoming places of all people. We need the open discussion around mental wellness, around mental illness, and we do need to support these anti-stigma efforts that are underway, and obviously PR professionals have a big role to play.
What kind of role can the public relations and communications?
I think the important role that public relations and communications can play is in leading the story, shaping the story, being part of the story, keeping the conversation alive and growing the conversation is really important if we need to address the stigma. And stigma is the reason that 2/3 of people with mental health issues don't seek help. So, it's spreading the word that help is available, that recovery is possible, that people with mental health issues, can and do lead full and happy lives. And that, frankly, people with mental health issues are just like you and me, and our friends, and our family members, and our co-workers. So it's being part of that conversation.
And one thing before we finish today's little talk, Mary, I'd love for you to repeat your story about how you get involved in organizations and how you got involved with Bell and how you grew your career, because you were saying that every single time you chose a job, it was because you had a personal connection with it. And I think that the story is really, really good for young professionals to hear that.
So when I first started working, I worked in the private sector, and I didn't find it, for me, personally, very rewarding. I had a friend who worked at World Wildlife Fund, and I loved animals. So I thought, I'll go work there because it's something that I'm passionate about. Never worked harder in my life. I learned everything there was to know about fundraising communication for the cause of wildlife. After a number of years, 6 or 7 years, I went to work at the MS Society, and I went there because my sister, Margie, has MS. And I thought, okay, well, I could be passionate about that and make a difference there. I worked there for a number of years. What took me to CAMH was the suicide of my brother David, quite young, 25 at the time, and I felt somewhat uniquely qualified because I knew how to fundraise, but I had this passion for an issue and felt that I'd never be a doctor, I'd never be a researcher, but this is the way that I can make a contribution. So, my involvement in mental health came about through a real passion for making a difference, and I took that passion with me through CAMH to Bell, to lead this Bell Let's Talk Mental Health Initiative and try and help ensure that people do get that early and appropriate help they need